You're tuned in live to the Heel Turn podcast with Alec Pecano. No kayfabe, just chaos. This is episode 1. We are reviewing WrestleMania. I will give you my thoughts on WrestleMania and the good, the bad, the ugly, and recap every single match. Tell you what I thought was good with the matches and what was bad. And tell you what surprises I expect at Raw and SmackDown and what feuds I expect going forward. So, we are going to start with night 1 of WrestleMania and the controversial first match, Gunther versus Jey Uso. And I'm the biggest Jey Uso fan there is on YouTube, as most people know. Jey, and I'm fine with how the match ended and Jey choking out Gunther and winning clean. I know there's people out there that say, oh, this match stunk. It was horrible. I disagree. I think this match was actually really good, in my opinion. Now, if y'all disagree, please let me know down in the comment section down below of this episode. But overall, I thought the match was good. It gets a 5 out of 10 for me. There was some spots I thought they could have done better at. And then now there's already people saying, oh, Jay's hurt. It looked like he hurt his elbow during the match. Jey is champion. I don't think he's going to relinquish the title on Raw. We don't need another Finn Balor incident. And I feel like if we get that, people are going to be like, oh, this was a waste of a match. Jey shouldn't have won the Rumble. Congratulations to Jey Uso on winning his first world title. And now the thing is, what do we do with Gunther? Where does Gunther go after this? He's going to stay in the main event picture. But who does he feud with? Is he going to feud with somebody like maybe a guy that I'm going to talk about a little bit, Braun Breaker? Or is he going to take a little bit of time off and go on this losing streak like he did when he first came up to the main roster and start a redemption story arc? So that match was good. The match to me that was underwhelming, and I like both of these people, was Jade Cargill and Naomi. And Jade ended up winning, but I thought this match felt off from the start for me. I feel like this match could have been better. And there were spots in it that were good, but it was too short. And I understand why it was short. They didn't want it to go long because there was other matches on the card. And I don't get it. That's all I'm going to say. Then you had El Grande Americano against Rey Fenix. Now, first of all, El Grande Americano won, but I think everybody knows that El Grande Americano is Chad Gable. I think we all know that by now. That's the key element here, is we know that El Grande Americano is Chad Gable. And I don't care for this, what they're doing with America Made is a joke, especially Chad Gable and this whole El Grande Americano thing. And he's trying to say he's not El Grande Americano. He is, and we all know it. But the match was okay. I didn't mind the match. The Jade and Naomi match gets a 4 out of 10 for me. Like I said, I like both of them. This El Grande Americano on Ray Phoenix gets a 6 out of 10. It was good other than El Grande Americano winning. Ray Phoenix needed to win more than El Grande Americano. Then you had New Day going up against the War Raiders for the tag team titles. And I'm going to say something about this match before. Obviously, we know New Day won. But New Day did not deserve to win the tag team titles. And I stand by that. The War Raiders should have retained. The War Raiders should have retained the title. It should not have gone to the New Day. The New Day doesn't deserve it. I know they needed the win to solidify themselves as a good heel tag team. And they keep saying that they're the best tag team ever. They're not. The Hardy Boys are better. Edge and Christian, the Dudleys, Word Warriors, Brother of Destruction, DX. We'd be here all day if I kept trying. If I named the tag teams that were better than the New Day. The match was okay, but it gets a 4.5 out of 10 for me. I didn't feel invested in it enough to say that, it was a decently good match, but I feel like it could have done better. My favorite match of the night, though, the U.S. title match between Jacob Fatu and LA Knight. And I called this on a similar podcast to this a couple months ago. Me and my co-host that does the baseball podcast and college football podcast with me, we both said that Jacob Fatu was going to be a champion at some point. And sure enough, he beats LA Knight at WrestleMania to win the U.S. title. And I'm surprised there was no interference from Solo at all. I thought there would be interference from Solo Sikoa, but there wasn't. And that's shocking to me because you would think Solo would have interfered, but he didn't. But anyway, this gets an 8 out of 10 for me. I was really entertained by this match, and Jacob, I don't think Jacob's losing the U.S. title. I know he just got it. I don't think he's losing it anytime soon. I think he's going to hold the title for a while. And if you disagree with me on any of this, please let me know in the comments. Then we had Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. And I think all of us knew that Charlotte was not winning. I mean, there was a couple times during the match that I thought, okay, maybe Charlotte is winning. Because we know when Charlotte comes back, if Charlotte takes time off and she comes back, that she automatically, because of her name, gets put into the title picture. Thank goodness this time she did not win. If she did win, it would have been a whole different story, and I think everybody would have been upset. But she didn't win, which was a good thing. And Tiffany's going to have a long title. I don't know who Tiffany's opponent is going to be next. Maybe they go Piper Niven. Maybe they go somebody else. I honestly don't know. And then the main event of night one. Seth Rollins versus CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. What a match. This match was pure gold. Pure gold. Pure cinema, as some people might say. And I think we all knew Seth was probably going to win because they want to move Punk away from Seth and Roman. But the way Seth won was, and I went on somebody else. I was on another podcast last week, and I talked about the whole watch out for Paul Heyman betraying CM Punk and Roman and aligning himself with Seth Rollins. And I'm going to take credit for calling that because I had been watching videos on it all week last week. And I figured it was going to happen. And sure enough, it ended up happening. But it was a great match. Rollins ended up winning. And it gets a 10 out of 10 for me. Great match. There's a lot of spots where we thought we were going to see a mini feud reunion, but Roman said, not happening. I'm not having any of that. And great match. Now we get on to the night 2 recap of WrestleMania. And we start off with the triple threat between Io Sky, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley. This is one of the few matches on night 2 that's going to get a 10 out of 10 for me. Great match. All three of these women put on a heck of a show for the crowd in Vegas. And dare I say that, like I said, it gets a 10 out of 10. I thought that I don't mind Io retaining. The only issue I have is who is Io going to face next? Are they going to go the route of Io versus Rhea? Or are we going to continue the feud with Io and Bianca? Or is Bianca going to go back over to SmackDown and now feud with Naomi and maybe reform the tag team she had with Jade? I guess we'll see. Then you had Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest in a Sin City street fight. What a match. Drew wins, and I don't think this is not going to be good, bad, or ugly. But I think this was the wrong choice. Drew had no business winning that match. It should have been Damian. Because Drew, he's still going to whine and complain about winning, even though he won. He's still going to whine and complain because that's what he's known for, is whining and complaining, even though he won a match. But it was a good match. 7 out of 10. Then we get to Logan Paul and AJ Styles. And this was another decently good match. But the ending didn't make sense to me. Why is Karrion Kross sticking his nose in a match he has no business putting his nose in? If you didn't catch the end of the match, Logan Paul, one of his entourage members, Jeff, was trying to give Logan brass knuckles, and Karrion Kross, the camera pans to him, and he grabs the brass knuckles from Jeff, and AJ Styles comes out, and Karrion Kross is trying to give him the brass knuckles, and AJ takes him and throws him against the steel steps, and then hits Karrion Kross, and then he gets back in the ring, and AJ and Logan hits him with the titanium right hand, which I'm sorry, but it should be illegal. It should not be allowed. That's how that's what I think. But it was a good match. 6 out of 10 for me. Nothing special. Then we get to Randy Orton against a unspecified opponent, which happens to be Joe Hendry. And I don't know how WWE pulled this off. Because Joe Hendry has a title match next Thursday on TNA. And the pop for Joe Hendry was generational. And everybody knew that Joe Hendry wasn't winning. But it was a good WrestleMania moment for Joe Hendry. And now he can officially say that he's been in NXT and on the main roster in WWE. Match gets a 7 out of 10 for me. Good match. I would like to see Joe Hendry more often on WWE programming. Once he loses the TNA title, will it happen? I guess we'll have to find out. Then you had the Intercontinental title match, Fatal 4-Way between Dominic Mysterio, Finn Balor, Penta, and Braun Breaker. Dom ends up winning, and he pins Finn Balor. Now, I recommend watching Raw tonight at 8 o'clock to see what the fallout is from Dominic Mysterio pinning Finn Balor. Because I think there's going to be some hard talks that have to happen between the Judgment Day. And somebody please check on Carlito. He got speared into oblivion. Then we get to, and yes, congratulations, first of all, to Dominic Mysterio on winning the Intercontinental title. I know I'm not the biggest Dominic Mysterio fan, but I still have to give him props. The kid has come so far, and it'd be ashamed if somehow he loses that Intercontinental title down the road. Then you've got the tag team title match, the women's tag title match between Lyra and a mystery tag team partner, which turned out to be Becky Lynch and Liv and Raquel. And Lyra and Becky win the titles. Good match. That Intercontinental title match, I'm going to say 8 out of 10. I liked it. 7.5 out of 10 for me with the Lyra, Becky versus Liv and Raquel for the tag titles. It was good. Now we get to something a match you're gonna hear me talk about later on. Again, in the bad and the good, bad, and ugly part of the show, of the podcast. It was John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. So the match starts off fine. I was fine how it started and how it was going. And then all of a sudden, Travis Scott comes out. Really? Why do you need Travis Scott to interfere? Oh, wait, because The Rock is supposedly, and I don't believe this for a second, supposedly in Hawaii filming a movie or on vacation. And I'm sorry. This match was just terrible. But and everybody knew Cena was going to win. Cena won. And I do have to say, congratulations, John Cena, on winning your 17th world title. But you didn't earn it. You snibbled your way into Elimination Chamber, which isn't right. You should have had to earn it. But then again, what am I to say? I used to really like John Cena. I used to respect him. I don't respect him anymore after what he did. This match, I think they're gonna I think the reason Cena won is because we're going to see he's on Raw. He's going to be on Raw tonight, which is going to be interesting. And I'll talk about what I expect on Raw and SmackDown for the Raw and SmackDown after Mania in a little bit. But this match gets a 6.5 out of 10. I thought it was okay. It could have been better if Cena actually tried, but the whole purpose was he wants to ruin wrestling. And now, overall, I give it a 8 out of 14, which is bad. Now we get to my good, bad, and ugly of WrestleMania. The good, Jey Uso winning the world title. And for everybody that wants to say, oh, Jey didn't deserve it. Yes, he did. He worked his tail off his whole career to get to this point. And dare I say, he dadgum well earned it. Now, the bad. Well, and also, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to be seeing Jey versus Logan Paul at Backlash or maybe SummerSlam, which, again, is unfortunate for anybody who didn't want to see Logan Paul. The ugly. The bad. The night 2 main event. And yes, I know I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. But here's my explanation as to why it was so horrible. It was bad because Cena didn't care about winning the match. And it was brutally obvious. He did not care about winning that match. He wanted to make it miserable on everybody. And Cena, I have a feeling he's not holding the title for a long time. And there's some people, I think he's going to drop it back to Cody Rhodes at some point. Maybe Cody stays off of TV for a couple weeks, maybe a month. And then he comes back. And we see Cody say, look, Cena, you beat me at Mania to get your 17th. Let me get my rematch. And then the ugly. Logan Paul winning. Logan had no business beating AJ Styles. At all. And I'm not going to say I don't care what people think. But I understand what WWE was doing here. They want to show you that Logan Paul can be a serious contender. Serious contender in WWE. I don't think Logan Paul's ever winning a singles title. He did win the U.S. title. Okay. World championship. He will not be a world champion. And now, here's what I think you can expect tonight on Raw. There is a return I expect to happen, or a re-debut of sorts, and that is Rusev. Rusev re-signed with WWE a couple weeks back, and they've been saying any day now that he's going to return, and I fully think it is tonight after what Triple H said last night on his interview, his WrestleMania post-show interview, that we should expect returns and debuts to start on Raw and lead into SmackDown. And so Rusev's the first one. The second one is Jeff Cobb from New Japan Pro Wrestling. I expect him to debut on the main roster, probably on either Raw tonight or SmackDown on Friday. Returns. I expect Big Bronson Reed to return at some point. Rey Mysterio, maybe. I expect somebody to interrupt Cena tonight on Raw. I truthfully do. I think somebody's going to interrupt John Cena. Don't know who, but I think somebody is going to interrupt Cena. And if you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this podcast, the Heel Turn podcast, will be up on Spotify. And all my other podcasts I do are also on Spotify. You can find all those podcasts on Spotify by either searching for this one. You just search up the Heel Turn podcast. If you want the two college football podcasts I do, you can search up Third and Long podcast, or you can search up on Spotify Helmet to Helmet podcast. Or Wednesday, I have a Between the Hashes podcast, which is NFL centric. And you can search that up on Spotify as well. Or our baseball podcast we do. The Showstoppers podcast. All of the podcasts are on Spotify. And if you listen to an episode of the podcast on Spotify, please leave a 5-star rating. But for Alec, for Alec Pecado and the Heel Turn podcast, that is going to do it for today's episode. I will see you with another episode next Monday of the Heel Turn podcast. We are peacing out.